everybody! Today is a story time. Okay, basically I don't have corona anymore, which is a good thing, but I don't know, like I still have quite a bad cough and I'm just not feeling very good. Like I'm getting tired really quickly. I have to take like 2 naps per day. I don't know if it's long COVID or what, or if it's just like a normal after effect of having it, because it seems like my friends have all had the same thing. Also, my taste and sense of smell did vanish for a while, but it was really weird. It wasn't like completely gone. It was like I could taste some elements of food. So I had a hamburger and I could only taste the beef part, and I'd eat like a pizza and I could only taste the cheese. It was really weird, but luckily I have a really strong imagination, so I could kind of like fill in the gaps with my brain, but it was very strange. I think it's up to like 80% now. I also couldn't smell my perfume at all, and I kept putting tons on thinking that it just expired and it wasn't working, and I was going out really smelling of perfume. So yeah, that was pretty dumb. Today's story time is gonna be about private students in Japan. Basically, if you need a little bit of cash, one thing that's really easy to do is teach English to people privately in cafes. I think I actually made a video about this ages ago, but I'm gonna do a dramatic retelling and also add some stories that I may have left out. It was honestly the best of times and it was the worst of times. I honestly had a lot of fun teaching private students, because you meet a lot of people that way. Because honestly, it's hard to meet like regular Japanese people day to day, but doing that you could get to know random people from all demographics and just, you know, learn about them and learn about their lives. So I'll start with the first student, which might actually be the worst. When I first arrived, I was living in Saitama, and then we all lost our jobs because they lost the contract of the city. So I decided randomly to move to Shinjuku without a job, which was very stupid of me, and I moved in with my friend. And I had like another job lined up, but before I started that job, I needed money. So I looked online, and there was a thing trending at the time, this article about this woman who was teaching private students and saying how good it was, like how you can manage your own schedule, you can choose your own clients. Yeah, it seemed like something fun that I would enjoy doing. So I found an app, and there are quite a lot of apps where you can do this, and I just signed up, and you can set the price that you want. The thing is that if you set the price quite high, expectations are much higher, and obviously stuff like this, there's a lot of creepy guys just looking to speak to cute girls, and likewise there's a lot of older women who will only go for cute young foreign men. And so like this is the biggest problem, that most of the students I met were men, and I didn't set it too high, but I set it high enough. The first guy I taught was called Sho, and I was surprised that he was just a little bit older than me, and he wasn't unattractive. He was like a decent looking guy. We met up in a cafe and we talked for a while. He wanted to meet in Akihabara, which was kind of annoying for me, but it was my first gig, so I was like, whatever. We talked for a while. He likes anime and games, and I do too, and after that, he just asked if I wanted to have another lesson, and he wasn't really creepy, so I agreed. I later found out that day he had scheduled 5 different lessons with 5 different girls, and they're all like white European girls, and then he decided to go with me because I guess I just had similar interests, which is a little bit creepy. But yeah, on the way back to the station, I agreed to play Taiko no Tatsujin with him, which is honestly a big mistake on my part. You should not do anything too friendly with your students because they're going to get attached. And I did that with him, and I guess it made him really happy. And I think that was the first step in him getting a little bit too attached to me. The second time we met, actually, he said that he wanted to go to a different kind of cafe. That's another red flag, because usually you just teach in cafes, but they'll always try and take you somewhere else. They'll try and take you to somewhere with alcohol, like a bar or izakaya, or like in a more date setting. This bar was actually really fun. It was a bar for men that dress as women, and it was also in Akiba, and I wanted to go there anyway, so I agreed to go. And we went, and honestly, we had a pretty fun time. Like we spoke in English the whole time. He he genuinely wanted to learn because he had lived overseas. It was fun and I got to enjoy a new experience. I didn't have to pay for anything. But then he started to already be creepy. He asked me what my type was, and honestly I don't really have a type. And he asked if he was my type, and I said, like, honestly speaking, I just don't find him attractive and I wouldn't date someone that I was teaching. And he kept saying stuff like, how much weight would I have to lose for you to find me attractive? And honestly, for me, I love chunky boys. The weight was not a problem. Like, he wasn't particularly chunky. He was like normal by Western standards. I just didn't find him attractive. Like, there was nothing he could have done. And I made it very, very clear to him, I'm only teaching you English. I will not date you. And I thought that I made that pretty clear. The next lesson we had was the next week, and he wanted to go to the Butler Cafe in Ikebukuro, and it's famously expensive and hard to get into, so I agreed just based on that. I just really, really wanted to go, and I knew I'd be able to eat for free, and I met him there. I had a wonderful time because it's really attractive men in suits giving you like little cakes, so I had a great time. But he started to get kind of annoyed that I was looking at the staff because they were handsome men dressed as butlers, and he was like, stop objectifying the waiters. I'm like, that's the whole point of being here. But anyways, I tried to turn it down a bit because it was like my work. So we chatted a bit, and he talked a lot about his ex-girlfriend, who he said was crazy and a whore, which was a very big red flag. He said that his ex-girlfriend was a Ukrainian maid, like she worked in a maid cafe, and basically he went there every single day and asked her to be his girlfriend, and every day she said no, and eventually she caved in and said yes. And then he went there one day, and then she was kissing another man outside, which doesn't make any sense because maids typically will not do that. But also, I'm like, you weren't ever dating this woman. She just got tired and was like, oh god, it's this bastard again, and just agreed to date you so you would leave her alone. Like, and at that time I was like, that's gonna happen to me, isn't it? So I made sure to be very, very clear with him. I will not date you. I will not be your girlfriend. Then the next place we went to was a Neko Cafe, which was really cute. We could see all the cats, and at that point, I knew I was going to have to break this off pretty soon because he was like, oh, you're so much cuter than the cats. I feel so healed just being around you and stuff like that. I'm just getting creepy. And I knew it was time to end this because I think in general it's not good for him. It's not good for me. And like, it was good because it was like a weekly thing, a weekly source of little income, which was good for me. But at the end of the day, this guy could murder me. Then the very last time we met, conveniently, was the time when I was going to tell him that I couldn't teach him anymore. He wanted to go to the Alice in Wonderland cafe in Shibuya, which I've been to almost every Alice in Wonderland cafe. They're mostly empty. Like, honestly, they're not that popular. So we met up, and he said, oh, actually, I tried to make a reservation and they were completely booked, so I found somewhere nearby that we can go instead. This is obviously another red flag. Never just go to a random place with someone. I'm pretty confident that I could beat this guy up, so I wasn't too worried. But we went, even though I knew it was a bold-faced lie, because I knew you don't even need a reservation for this. There's the Alice Cafe, you can just walk in. So we went to this place, and it ended up being like an izakaya where it's like a little room, like a booth, and there's a sofa and a TV and like karaoke, and you can just sit together and like vibe. I didn't like that. I sat on the opposite end of the table, and I had an English textbook, and I just went through it with him. And then yeah, I got some like really weird vibes, and we were all alone in a room, so we weren't in like public, so I didn't want to tell him then. So I made my excuses and left really quickly after the lesson had finished, because the lesson's only like 40 minutes, I think. And then when I got home, I texted him and I said, thank you up until now. I had fun being your teacher, but I think it's just not really good to be your teacher anymore because I can see you're getting quite attached. He went absolutely ballistic and he said, like, oh, you have a boyfriend, don't you? I knew it. All women are the same. You're all whores. I was like, literally, you're paying me money through an app to just teach you English. Like, I don't know what to tell you, my guy. I said from the start I didn't want to be your girlfriend. I'm not attracted to you. I would never date you. I don't know how I can make it any more clear than that. I feel quite bad that I let it go on as long as it did. But also, I did kind of just need money at that time. It was like I didn't have a lot of money and I was very new to Japan. And I find that these people prey on people that are new to Japan. Like, you don't know what's normal. You don't know what's not normal. You don't know what's a red flag. Now I'm very experienced, but back then I wasn't, and I didn't really know what to do. Next guy, we'll call him Tatsuya. He got me from the app. By this time, I was pretty experienced at using this app. Like, this ain't mama's first rodeo anymore. I was pretty aware of red flags, and I'm just pretty sick in general of teaching these men English. So we met up actually quite near to my house, which was convenient, and then we went to a cafe, and he didn't mention anything before, and then I just started having casual conversation with him, and he pulls out like this thick wad of papers. He's like, I want you to go through this and I want you to proofread it for me. And immediately I was like, this isn't a proofreading job. Like, normally proofreading is like per character, because I also do proofreading. So I'm like, this isn't that kind of job. I'm not going to sit in the cafe while you watch me read in silence. But again, I was like, I guess I can do a little bit now. So I was proofreading it. And it was like documentation and a lot of blueprints for like some kind of turbine, some kind of energy efficient turbine that they use sometimes in airplanes. I didn't really get it, and there was a lot of terminology that I just didn't understand, and I thought it was hilarious because when you're getting someone to proofread something, you need to do it in that field. Like, you need to find someone from a science field or a biology field or a chemistry field or a medical field. You don't just find someone off the internet. I went through it the best I could. Honestly, didn't really understand a lot of it. Tried my best, fixed the grammar. I still don't really understand what it was about. Don't really care. He was quite a big guy and quite like dominating. I don't know how to explain it, but I just get a little bit of weird vibe from him. So then I did that. It was very, very professional up until that point. We left, and the worst part is when they're always like, oh, I'll walk you to the station, and it's like, I don't want to be alone with you outside, but also I don't want to appear rude. So it was close. So I was like, okay, let's walk to the station. Then he randomly started talking about how he hates that men are so effeminate now and men aren't real men like they used to be. And he was going on and on about the Spartans and how he wished men were more like that, and how that now they're all like effeminate and gay. And I was like, you do know how gay the Spartans were. Like, the Spartans are like famously gay. Like, there's a rumor that the Spartans were so gay when they come back from war, they don't want to have sex with their wives anymore because they just love cock. So their wives shaved their heads to appear more masculine and hope that would work. Like, the Spartans were very, very gay. I think like everyone in that time period was extremely gay, and this made him so mad. He was like, no, stop talking, and I was like, you want to know what's really gay? The samurai. Do you want to hear about that? And he just got really frustrated and he just like ran away, and he ended up giving me a bad review on the app, which made me mad because I did a really good job at proofreading like this classified military document. So like, he could have at least given me like 4 stars, but like, whatever. This video is running on a bit, so I'm gonna just do one more, and if you want to hear more, tell me and I'll make a part 2 of this video, because honestly I have so many stories like this. Honestly, so many. Okay, so this guy, we'll call him Masa. Masa chose me from the app. Again, pretty close to my house. It wasn't too bad. I met him. He was a nice guy. He was very, very large. Like, I don't want to body shame people, but he was like 5 times the size of like a regular Japanese person, and he was wearing like a Hawaiian shirt and shorts and Crocs. So that's your image of him. And we went to a cafe and we talked. I forget what we talked about. He was honestly quite boring. And then that was it. We left. He said he had a really good time. He learned a lot of English. I could check a lot of his grammar. I remember his grammar wasn't very good. And he wanted to schedule another lesson. And we scheduled it, and we were supposed to go back to the same cafe the next week. I arrived and he said that he made a reservation for the cafe above that one. And I was like, okay. I don't really like reservations because it makes me feel, I don't know, I don't like it. So we went upstairs and it was not a cafe. So yeah, I ate my food and I drank my drink and I just left. He left me a good review, but he sent me a lot of messages and he was pretty mad that I left. And then he was like, oh, like, sorry, did I freak you out because I was staring at you so much? You're just so cute. I'm like, okay, that's it, I'm gonna report this guy. But then like I said, I'm gonna be honest with you, stop getting girls off of this app and thinking they're gonna date you. They're not gonna date you. Like obviously I'm not gonna date you. I don't know why you would get that in your head. And this man was genuinely shocked that I didn't want to date him. I'm like, I've met you for 18 minutes and I hated every single last one of them, quite frankly. I'm sorry, I do not like you, I don't want to date you. Please stop creeping on girls on the internet. And yeah, that was that. I feel like I was a little bit harsh, but honestly, by the end of it, I just got so sick of this kind of behavior. And a lot of my friends also did this because honestly, if you got nothing to do in like an evening, it's just a quick way to get, you know, like a pretty decent amount of money. But it's all just people who are lonely and people want to go on a cheap date. And these people aren't particularly nice to you. They're very entitled. It's honestly just not worth it. And it goes the same for guys that are using this app too. Like, I had a friend who was meeting this middle-aged woman. I think he was like in his early 20s. So he was meeting this middle-aged Japanese woman and teaching her English. And then eventually she asked to have it at her house because she had a baby. And she would do it right before her husband came home. And so he was going to her house with like his textbooks and teaching her. And then one day she tried to, like, she wanted to model tights for him. And that's when it kind of went downhill and then becoming really, really flirty with him. And then she asked if he wanted to sleep with her, and he was disgusted. Like, her baby was in the next room, her husband was going to be home soon. It was just an awful experience. And like, it just sucks that you're putting someone in that position that's honestly just at work. Like, they're just trying to make a little bit of extra money so they can survive, and you're creating this romantic fanfic in your head when there's honestly nothing there. And like, the issue is that, like any customer service job, you have to smile and you have to be polite, and I think honestly people read that the wrong way sometimes. So honestly, I wouldn't suggest going into this kind of work unless you're pre-aware of the kind of people you're going to be teaching, and if you're okay with it. If you're okay with it, it's not really a big deal. But honestly, I will not suffer one more second being around someone that wants to manipulate me into dating them, because that is just the worst feeling for me. And particularly when you're just like some poor bastard just trying to make money, kind of sucks. But yeah, it wasn't all bad. I've taught like a sweet old man. I taught an older woman who was like a radical feminist and socialist, and she organizes a lot of protests and stuff. She was really, really nice. I used to teach like a lot of high school kids whose parents would pay so that they could help them to pass their exams. Honestly, it wasn't all bad, but you only usually remember the bad things. So yeah, that was my story time. There's actually a lot more bigger stories, but maybe I'll do them next time. Let me know if you want another video kind of like this. As always, thank you for watching, and please subscribe.